What you're trying to do, Abby, property speculators who don't give a damn about the environment. We have the same problem back in the States. But is it your problem? I mean, you got little William to think of.
I am thinking of him, Mr. Hudson.
Bob. Call me Bob, huh? We're all family here, right, Polly?
That's right, Bob. Oh, thank you.
Now, I know Orrin and your mother are taking good care of William, but is it fair in the little kid? I mean, surely he comes first.
Exactly.
Huh?
That's just what I keep telling her, Bob. Oh, thank you, Mrs. Moles. I can manage and go now.
Of course William comes first. And if I thought he was suffering because of what I was doing, I'd have stopped. But I'm not breastfeeding him. He's perfectly happy here with my mother.
Black, Polly, no sugar. That's kind of selfish of you, isn't it? Asking your mother to fill in for you.
I didn't ask. She offered.
Uh-huh. Thank you. Well, suppose she hadn't. I mean, suppose she had told you to look after your own baby.
I'd have taken him down to the site with me.
I see.
Look, Dad, she won't be going down to the site anymore. Now she's being prosecuted. She can make her pitch in court.
Then what? She goes back to being a mother?
I guess so.
Well, I'll be perfectly honest with you, Abby. I'm not happy at all. We Hudsons have always been respectable, law-abiding people. And if you're going to be my daughter-in-law...
Dad!
I said if, Orrin. Which brings me to the main point of my visit. How long do you intend to leave your proposal on the table?
Till she gives me an answer.
Oh, I'm sure she intends to accept, Bob, just as soon as the court case is out of the way.
Mother. I'm sorry, Orrin. Your father's right. I should have given you an answer weeks ago.
So you're turning me down?
Yes.
Don't be silly, Abby. William needs a father.
But I don't love him. I'm quite certain Orrin doesn't love me.
What's love got to do with it if he's willing to give the baby his name?
Oh, don't be so ridiculous, Mother. These days, people don't get married just to give the child a father's name.
Back in Lancaster County, they do. And I'll tell you something else, young lady. That's exactly where this kid's going to be raised. With or without you.
Well, what about that wine we had for dinner? What was that?
Chateau de Palais from the Corbière region of the Midi. Small vineyard, but improving all the time.
I can't bear wine snobs. But with Frenchmen, it doesn't sound like snobbery. At least you're speaking your own language.
Well, I know that the English usually disapprove of the French. And I wonder what you think.
In general or in particular?
Okay, in particular.
Well, if you really want to know, Claude, I thought you were after my mother.
Ah.
I thought you were a typical frog, taking advantage when she was at her most vulnerable.
I see. And now that we have met...
I still think you're a typical frog. But perhaps you have some redeeming features.
Well, thank you. Shall we dance?
Tell me about your love life.
Oh, why?
Because I'm mellow with wine and because I'm interested.
Well, I have had only one lasting relationship in my life, and that ended some weeks ago.
I'm sorry.
It is too late for sorrow. It was become impossible.
You mean she was?
Yes, but I am sure that I am impossible too.
All men are impossible. It's a well-known fact. Dad? Dad?
Oh, Harold.
You expecting someone else?
Oh, now, don't you start. What do you want, anyway?
Well, you tell me. You asked to see me. At least that's the message I was given.
Oh, yes. Campari and soda?
Campari and soda? My, things have changed round here. Is this all part of the new image, Dad? I mean, honestly, gallivanting around with someone my age, aren't you ashamed of yourself?
No. Listen, Avril, I've asked Dawn to launch the catamaran.
You've what?
I've asked Dawn to launch the new boat. She's just what we need, a bit of glamour.
But it's too late. I've already asked someone else.
Mortgage your house, Mrs. Howard. That's a very dangerous thing to do, you know. A last resort.
It's the only thing I possess, and we really are riding high at the moment.
I'm sure the bank would be happy to accept it as security for a loan, but have you done enough market research? So many entrepreneurs get carried away by the success of their first venture and come a terrible cropper when they try to expand.
Yes, I know, but our exclusive designs are so popular at the moment, it would be stupid not to cash in on it. In fact, if I had more outlets, I could quadruple my turnover.
Suppose there's another depression.
I think we'd survive. My customers would be affected less than most.
All right. I'll arrange for our values to make their own assessment. But you're sure there's no other collateral you can offer?
Quite sure.
What about your partner in the boutique, Mr.
Mr. Masters?
Yes, can't you approach him?
I could, but, well, I think it's time I had a financial stake in the company.
All right, one at a time, lads. One at a time. Well, if we all start talking at once, we won't get anywhere, will we? Now, as I understand it, the complaint is that management is not managing, right?
That's right.
Right.
It's not just that, Bill.
Definitely.
I mean, it's not just that we never see them these days. Jack Rolfe always left the day-to-day supervision to you, and that's the way we like it.
Right.
We don't want management hanging round our necks all the time. But Jack hasn't been near the place lately. The word is, he seems more interested in horses than in boats. Yeah, and Tom Howard seems to spend all his time in the office, and I reckon we all know why, don't we, lads? I mean, we know what he's more interested in.
All right. So what do you want me to do about this business?
Talk to Jack. If you can find him, ask him what the hell's going on.
Right.
How about talking to me?
What seems to be the problem, Bill?
The lads have a grievance, Miss Avril.
All right, I'm listening.
Well, there's a feeling that we're just sort of drifting, with no one at the tiller.
I see. Can I try and answer that?
Go ahead.
This time last year, the Mermaid Yard was on its knees. You never knew it, but twice I typed out 1 week's notice for every one of you here. Then, fortunately, Tom Howard joined us, bringing both new capital and new ideas. Since then, we've built a marvelous new boat. The Barracuda. You have. This yard is back on its feet again. But to make sure that it stays there, we joined the board of Relton Marine, who, whilst manufacturing the Barracuda under franchise, are also ensuring that new development finance is available for new building here. Do you really want us to stop all that? Just to hold your hands?
Where's Mr. Rolfe?
Trying to secure traditional boat contracts. To keep some of you busy who aren't involved in the catamaran project. We're moving this yard into the 1980s as fast as we can. We can't do it all at once. And without your support, we can't do it at all. Thank you.
So I'm afraid you're going to have to go back onto the road and then up to the end of the berth.
Okay. Sorry.
What's that? Miss Howard?
Miss Howard, was there ever a time when you just felt like giving up completely?
Only when I got too hard to take.
Did you feel like
Miss Howard?
completely giving up?
Food, mostly.
Oh, what sort of food?
Anything hot. Steak au poivre, chili con carne, goulash.
Were there any hairy moments, Miss Howard, any time you thought you weren't going to make it?
No. The Barracuda took everything the Atlantic could throw at her. She's a wonderful boat.
Designed by your father, wasn't she?
That's right, and you're going to be hearing a lot more of him. One day he's going to design the British Challenger for the America's Cup.
But why isn't he here?
He is.
Dad?
That's her father.
There was a time when you lost radio contact, wasn't there, Mr. Howard? Were you worried?
Of course not. I had every confidence.
In the boat or in your daughter?
Both. After all, they were both designed by me.
This way, Mr. Howard.